My name is Cam Bauer, and I'm the son-in-law who's brought the boomerang daughter back, who grew up on this farm.
Mike Bayless lived here all my life. Never gotten anywhere.
Drenda Bayless, married to Mike Bayless for 57 years. Came from Southern California, lived by Disneyland, didn't have the clue what a farm was when I married him, but here I am.
And I am Bernadette Bayless Bauer. So these are my parents. That is my husband.
We did a lot of research on builders. We knew that we had to take a custom builder approach. And so we had gotten some recommendations from other wineries and tasting rooms around the area. And we really thought that we were going to have to focus on those types of builders. This was probably, when we started looking, was probably back in 2020. So things were a little bit crazy then, and it was hard to get in contact with a lot of those builders. The costs were really high because we were experiencing the supply chain challenges, and somebody had recommended to me that I should look maybe outside the box at different types of builders. And so with that recommendation also came reference to Creekside Builders. And I reached out to Andrew Burton and asked him if he did this kind of work. And he was honest with me and said no, they hadn't really done a lot of commercial work, but that he was pretty certain that they could do this work, and he was very interested in doing it. Mm-hmm. And so that just started the conversations rolling about capabilities, looking at references and looking at other buildings you had done. And I think it was a good opportunity to take a chance, right? In a difficult time, take a chance, do things maybe differently than others have done it. And that's really how we got started with Creekside. Well, I think there's two things that stood out. One was we were very early days introduced to designer Eric, mm-hmm. and that was a different process than some of the other builders we had spoken to, because he really listened to kind of what we wanted. And we sat around as a family, we knew what we wanted. I think we pretty much had a very solid picture of what we wanted. And so when we sat down with Eric, a lot of other people we sat down told us what we should have. Eric listened to what we wanted. And so that, I think, was impactful from the beginning. And then just the communication, the follow-up, all the things that you look for early on when you're trying to decide whether or not you want to do business with somebody. Getting the responses in a timely manner. The discussions on pricing and the transparency that we had along those lines, what our budget was, all of those things were discussed and agreed on very early. And so that was comforting when we started this process.
Well, of course, he was a great listener. We had spent 20 years going around to other wineries all over the world. So we had a really clear idea of what we wanted. And he was able to help us kind of bring that to life and give us really good suggestions because we knew what we wanted, but we didn't necessarily know how to make that happen.
Well, yes, it was smooth, and we watched you guys work up here, and we suggested some things, and
it was
everything.
Surreal. It was real.
Well, yeah, it was the beginning of the dream, the realization of the dream is what it was, and here it is. So one of the things that, of course, that's not on Creekside, but we decided to run the electricity ourselves from the pole down on the road up to the building, and then we had to run water from our pump house up here, and that turned out to be a nightmare. But that wasn't Creekside's fault.
Well, what I would say about those projects, because fortunately I got here just in time for those projects. Those things are things that were outside the scope of what we were doing with Creekside, but also very important to what we were doing. And so one of the things I really appreciated with doing this project was your understanding of some of the challenges that we had to overcome to make this happen from a utilities perspective. And a lot of builders, I have a lot of experience in the construction industry, having worked 35 years with ExxonMobil and been project manager on big projects. And a lot of times contractors are looking for those opportunities to take advantage of. And I will say this, Creekside did not take advantage of any opportunities. They worked with us when we didn't have water. They worked with us when we didn't have power. And for me, that's when the real trust started to form between us and you guys, because I was worried that our problems and challenges that we had with that project were going to overlap to what we were doing here with Creekside. And that did not happen. Just since we finished this, I've had a few discussions with other people who are looking at projects, and somebody always wants to know kind of the question you asked, what would you do differently? And what was your experience with the builder that you had? And I think the key to doing any project like this, because industrial projects are industrial projects. This is more like building somebody's dream house. And that's why I think Creekside fits in pretty well, because that's what you guys do. And so communication, collaboration, making sure that you know what you want to do, but also trying to balance that with what's possible, and then how much things cost to do them. And I think those are some of the challenges that we've faced and overcome doing this project. But you have to have the right partner to do it.
The people that come in to look at it for parties and weddings they just fall in love instantly. They have a vision of a modern farmhouse wedding, and that's what we live with because we farm still. And it's just so open and airy and light. Everybody loves it. No one said anything, not even one suggestion of anything they would change. So.
It's wonderful to see people and how delighted they are to be up here, and how bowled away by the view and the building they really are. It's very good feeling for